Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 22.
I feel like I could take.
I don't know about you, but
that was our best intro yet.
But it's episode 22.
I'm surprised it took you this long to let Andrew do the intro because he's fantastic.
That's what we've been missing this whole time.
Don't do that.
We would have so many more
Keith
listeners.
Swift's gonna come after us.
Yeah, Taylor Swift's going to copy strike that little intro that we did there. It is episode 22 of Three Brothers Talking.
We made it.
I am David. I am your Grinch host today.
I'm Andrew. I'm your popcorn eating host.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
Believe me, they know.
You guys will know, yeah.
Yeah.
I am Jeremy. I am your vitamin water drinking host.
Why'd you say that?
Because I have a
He
bottle.
wanted vitamin water to sponsor.
And a vitamin water wants to sponsor our podcast.
I do like vitamin water.
I'm a big
placement.
fan, especially when everyone around you's been sick right now.
Gotta get that vitamin water.
It's like water and vitamins.
Although
mixed
you're
in one.
drinking bourbon with vitamin water.
Does that cancel it out?
Time, so I don't
you know what? He's drinking the lemonade, and I guarantee you, if you mix those two things together,
wanna
it
try
tastes
it.
good.
That'd probably be.
Alright, let's try it.
One of the best things to do is in the summer to make some iced tea and to have a little bourbon with it. Well, he really mixed it. He went like full bore on
Wow,
mixing.
you could have just ruined that bourbon.
I hope he didn't, because it's mine, and I spent money on that. But even if that's gross, keep acting
not
like
bad.
Keep acting like
I need
it's
some
good.
ice cubes.
Well, we have those. But
It's not bad. I do.
so I'm the Andrew's the popcorn eating host, because if you hear popcorn
if you hear
eating sounds,
crunching, it's because I'm eating some good
Probably
fresh
the salt.
popcorn.
you're gonna drive your wife crazy. Kaylee listening to this episode is
Kaylee's gonna be like,
and
she
honestly, the
hates
last episode, Andrew was also eating popcorn, so you probably heard it there too.
I ate mine
yeah.
before the episode.
In case you're wondering,
I just finished the bowl, so I'm done now.
in case you're wondering, that's
clearing
popcorn.
it up.
Kaylee, that is your husband,
Yes,
not me.
Well,
Or David.
Dave
I have
made
much
some
better-
fresh popcorn.
I
I'm
did
not gonna
make it.
not
It
eat
was
it.
fresh popcorn.
fresh pop. It was a artisanal.
I do need to
Artisan.
get one of those. Those things are sick.
Oh, it's a sick, nasty piece
What
of
it's
equipment.
called a pot.
Well, it's
No.
a nicer pot than the one we use.
No, it's one of those pots that like.
It's got a
swings the
crank
popcorn
on
around.
it.
It's got a crank.
Oh, they can like create.
Yeah, it's
It's got
so
a crank.
fancy.
It's like, dude,
Not really. It's probably like
they've
15
been around a
bucks at
while.
the nearest Walmart, but
Yeah.
If anyone asks.
maybe they're a sponsor. But anyway, I'm the Grinch because I have seen. I know 3 people that the day after Halloween they put up Christmas trees and Christmas decorations.
Oh man.
And Christmas decorations is one thing. If you've got some
It's a nice
Christmas stuff going around day after Halloween, okay. But people putting up,
Don't come to our house then.
but people putting up their Christmas trees before Thanksgiving, well before Thanksgiving, before November, they're putting up Christmas trees. Feels like a bit too much to me. A little too soon. A little
I agree.
too much.
Outside, I understand because like the weather
guys
could
have
be
any-
really nice.
I do wish I would have done
We don't
that
have anything
already.
up.
So we already have quite a bit up, and all the like she made me go get the stuff out of the box, like out of the
Little Genesis
crawl
3
space.
situation.
Even
the
like
woman
giving
that the
thanks?
woman that you gave me.
Oh, this one
made
you
me
gave
do
me
it.
made me do this.
She wanted to do it, and we haven't. So we're gonna get a big live tree. So we haven't done that. I'm waiting till after Thanksgiving for a tree. But like, there's garland up. There's the stockings are up. There's like Christmas decor.
I still got to figure out how I'm gonna. I got a new house, so I got to figure out how I'm gonna decorate it
Yeah.
for Christmas.
So
on the outside,
I'm sure
at least.
Rachel will tell you how to.
it's already been up. I was.
Well, we
not
only have
for
2
it.
strands of lights, so
Dude,
that's
that's what I told Andrew last year. You go the week after to Meyer, and you get a ton of lights.
You just
You know what's
spoiling the
incredible?
recommendation right there.
that's
here's
my
the thing.
reco for later on.
That's
so
been
hold
spoiled
that.
a year ago because we've been doing the podcast long enough that I distinctly remember
Did we say
It's
that?
a great.
that was
episode.
said last year.
It saved us.
It's in
a
one
ton
of our.
money.
It's in one of our like teaser episodes that
Wrapping
wasn't a real
paper.
episode.
everything.
We
But
recorded
yeah.
that in Jeremy's kitchen.
Was that in July? We recorded that.
No.
I thought it was earlier.
No, it was before Christmas because we were talking about Christmas and then we released the episodes in February.
Oh man!
So it was well timed.
Well timed when everything
Yeah.
was already gone.
Yeah, those are really just episodes for us to make sure our equipment worked and all that stuff.
To make sure we could communicate.
To make sure that we
effectively.
can podcast. And guess what? We can.
We
We're
did it
great at
22 times.
Pretty good.
We've done it 22 times.
But
We've
yeah,
done this
Kaylee-
over 22 times.
Actually,
Kaylee
well
made me do
over.
this. Kaylee made me do it in spite of Well, I was wanting to
Kaylee
wait till after
again.
Thanksgiving. I'm in that camp where you should celebrate Thanksgiving first.
Yeah,
But
because that's the best holiday.
but she
I am a big fan. I've realized more and more I'm a bigger fan of Thanksgiving than I thought because you don't really have to do anything.
Huge fan.
Yeah,
you
spend
just
time
you,
together.
you
And you
plan
just
some
eat.
You
food.
get 2 days off
Yeah,
normally.
you get some days off of work.
Yeah.
You normally get at least 2 days off work. Most people don't work on Black Friday, and you just plan some food.
Yeah.
Like maybe you have
Football's
to make
on,
a dish
and
or something.
football's on.
Yeah, much less
The
crazy.
Bears are on
Yeah.
again this year.
Yeah,
Playing the Lions.
and most of what I like about the other holidays is the eating and the relaxing around the table and stuff. At least with our family, we don't have tons of like tense dinner table conversations. I feel like, but
Well, maybe this year.
maybe this year.
I mean, we do have a lot of babies
I've been
around.
racking
so
them
that,
up for a
that
year.
limits the intense
We're not around the
conversation.
table as much
yeah.
anymore because
Yeah.
we're all like in
They're
different
throwing.
rooms. The babies are getting a little older now. I feel like soon more of us will be able to be around the table.
Oh,
for
Lincoln's
a
ready
longer
for a
amount of time.
turkey leg. He's
That's
good.
right. But anyway, thankful. One thing I'm thankful for, boys, is transitions in life. Am I right?
You are great at segues.
I'm great at segues. I'm a radio pro. Somebody should pay me to do it.
I don't go that far. Unless
Well,
like
somebody did.
somebody paid you to do it. Are you
Years
getting paid to do this?
It was his
No.
job.
Time out.
so
Are you
yeah.
getting paid to do this podcast?
Yeah, by me.
Oh,
Yeah,
good deal.
but
That Disney Plus deal did come through.
Oh, nice.
that's right. The Disney Plus deal came through.
Big time money.
I just kept it for myself.
Yeah.
You'll notice my new car in the driveway.
It's got Mickey Mouse ears on it.
But last episode we kind of talked about having a kid for a whole year, right? And that's a transition going into having a kid. But another transition that we're all either like kind of actually recently walked through, or in the case of Jeremy, about to walk through.
Well, by the time this is recorded, I will.
By the time it's recorded.
Well, recorded, we are recording.
which is right now.
But by the time it gets aired,
No, not by that time. By the time it airs, it probably will. You'll be walked through it.
I'll be through the beginning part of it.
But Jeremy's getting a new job.
Yes, I am.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Yeah, we're all excited about that. It's gonna be good for Jeremy and his family and everything.
Yeah,
but
it's exciting.
very an answer to prayer. A
Yes.
long time praying for it. And but we're gonna talk about changing jobs because I went through a big job transition about a year ago now. Actually, about a year ago, I left my old job and then went through a month without having a job, and then went through another month waiting for my next job to start. That month was way more fun than the month of not having a job, by the way.
Tell me about that.
Well, because I knew that I was going to get paid in the future.
Oh,
That's
that
why it was exciting. And then Andrew went through a pretty sizable transition in his job this year in terms of his duties and also thinking back a few years. You went through a big company change and everything. So, but we're just talking about what we learn through those transitions in life, those transitional periods, how God challenges us in them, and I don't know, the lessons we pulled out of them, how we're different now as a result. So that's what's on the agenda. And as we normally do, we will now start just talking about it. So what do you guys think about when you think, Jeremy, I mean, you're walking through this right now. So
Yes,
what are some things that this whole period has been teaching you?
I think one of the things. So Faith and I, a few years ago. So when I got into college, I got into what I was doing because my dream was to do the job I'm actually going to be transitioning into. And it kind of went away. And granted, there's still other things I'd love to do outside of this kind of job, just from a ministry standpoint. But I wanted to get into doing it. My grandpa and dad and uncles had started doing electrical contracting work.
Yeah.
So it's something that was on, like, I would love to do this job. And then I prayed about it, and it just didn't work out. It didn't happen.
We need to contact the uncles to sponsor this episode.
You should. I'll talk to Ricky.
All right.
They sponsor all kind of things. They have like a race.
Quick shout out to Rohrnbeck
Electric.
Yeah.
But
Support the podcast. Support Rohrnbeck Electric.
So that kind of went away, and Faith and I are praying about just as a time to leave, just do some stuff going on as far as our family goes. And this was around the table. So then trusting when it did come through that it was an answer to prayer a little bit, and not just me trying to leave a situation I didn't want to be in necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
Or just ready for the next chapter, but was it really God moving me, or was it me just selfishly moving?
Mm-hmm.
Which going through it, I knew that honestly wasn't the case, but also trusting that God is good in the midst of not knowing where the next step could lead. Because for all intents and purposes, things could go really badly when you change. Because like I've been in the same company for 9 years, almost 10.
Yeah.
So going into something completely new is scary.
Yeah.
And also it's a family business, so that's somewhat scary to a degree.
There's like a safety because you know the people and they love you.
Well, also the comfort of what you know now.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what your situation is, like good or bad, you know what you're going into every day.
Yeah.
So it's hard to leave that.
That's where, like, expectations, especially for you had quite a long career where, like... Yeah, like, the day-to-day and stuff, you know, you had things that getting outside of that is just risk big time.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, trusting that, stepping into it in faith, and also trusting that it's a good gift always and not just an opportunity to, I don't want to say look dumb, but not have all the answers. And make a mistake.
Yeah, I think there's something that's interesting about the mind tricks or the mind traps that we can fall into when we pray for something a long time and we can be sure that like a change is needed or something like that. But then whenever kind of opportunities come, then it's like, oh man, what if this is the wrong one?
Yeah.
And
this is the right door to step through.
And it's so easy to get obsessed with God's will in an unhealthy way where we think he might be trying to trick us or like he might be holding back on us. And in reality, there's a certain amount of maturity that enables you as a Christian to just say, I've prayed for a long time. I've analyzed my heart and the motives seem to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to trust. I'm going to go. Because if it's bad, then I'm going to trust that God will correct me out of it. Mm-hmm. And if it's good, then he's just going to bless it. So like win-win.
And also if it's bad, bad might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
It might perceive to be a bad thing.
It might feel bad in the moment, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that when I think about my transition, because I came out of a church job that I'd been in for about 6 years and knew that God had refined in me a desire to jump, to really, like he had refined in me a desire to be into teaching and preaching and into even planning a church, which was not something that was on my radar before then. But those things over the last few years kind of like really were like, hey, I was in music and it was like, that was good, but this is what you really want to do. Mm-hmm. This is the thing. And it was tough because I had to let go of like the good thing of the music ministry and everything, the thing that I knew and knew how to do. I had to let go of that and trust, especially because I didn't have another job lined up. And the church we were moving to, Maranatha, like was a church plant, really small, didn't have the money to like pay me to come on. So it was like, if I go here, I'm either going to raise support or I'm going to get another job. And like, you know, I'm going to have to find a new way to live life that I haven't lived. I had been solely in a church job for about 2 years. So it was like, I got to relearn how to live life, not in a church job. Because I haven't done that for a few years. And that was tough because it was so different for me. But I definitely learned, like, you pray about it and then you just learn to trust that even if the next stage is not the permanent stage or the end stage, God will still take care of you and it'll still be a good stage.
And you can be enabled to take a step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's always there to provide for that next step.
Yeah.
Until it's time for the one after that. Like, I think I've learned this year through this job transition, I shouldn't say I've learned it because I think there are days when I'm okay with this and days when I'm not. But I'm more okay with being in a preparatory stage of life than I used to be. Mm-hmm. I think I used to think I was more ready for like the career job, the career life. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to think I was more ready now to be in that more permanent stage of life, whatever that looks like, with the job or the family and all that stuff. And what I've learned is I'm more comfortable with being in the uncomfortable stage where God still has a few things to teach me before I get there. And before I'm ready to plant a church, before I'm ready to do this or that. And I still do some days. It's just like, I just want to be in that stage. I don't want to be in this stage. Mm-hmm. And I feel uncomfortable and insecure because I want to be there. I don't necessarily, like, I'm not 100% down with where I am. I want to be where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And God has definitely used the last year and stuff to be like, be okay with where you are. I'm leading you to where you're going to be. You're not there yet, but you got to be okay with where you are. Because where I am is life. That's actually where life is. I think that life is in the future, and it's the goals that I want to reach, and it's the things I want to get to. But life is also here now, living where I am now well into the glory of God. Mm-hmm. Not living the future to the glory of God, living the present to the glory of God. And that's just being content in some ways, just learning to be content, even when your job or your paycheck or your marriage or your kids or whatever, even where those things aren't all that you'd like them to be. But learning somehow to be more comfortable and saying they'll get to where they need to be when they need to be there. Mm-hmm. And God will prepare me for the next thing whenever it's time to be the next thing. But for now, like, I got to find a way to be content that He's got joy and good things for me right now.
Yeah.
But that's just, that, I feel like that just got hammered. It still is something that I fight with all the time. Just being in that stage of knowing that there's something in the future that I want that I don't know when I'll get there.
Yeah.
When God will make the way to do that. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, it's like, don't let that steal your joy now, because you have meaningful work to do now. And there's meaningful things for you to do now, even though you just want to be in the future. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about you, Ange? Talk about kind of what your transition was and then what it...
My biggest thing comes down to, like, risk aversion. Because, like, obviously people know I'm an accountant. I do taxes. We're not the most risky personality-wise to open.
A little different from me. I'll be a little more risky than you.
Yeah, to, like, open ourselves up to anything. Like, I like things to be secure, and I like things to, I like to know prior to taking a step. And that was really the challenge that I had with just recently, like, I decided to kind of open myself up to a whole new area and take on the big challenge for a very large company in Wendy's to take on the challenge of the international.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor for sure.
Try the new Baconator, though.
And breakfast is coming, just so you know.
There you go.
Insider trading.
A lot of
it's already out there.
A lot of places in America already have breakfast, though.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because we're like, Wendy's was started in Ohio, but it's one of the few places that doesn't have breakfast.
Well, most of the greater Columbus area ones now do have breakfast.
Transitions.
Yeah. But anyway. But yeah, so I had been doing a lot of business advisory work and, like, domestic tax work for Wendy's. And then basically over these last couple of years, it's been a big push towards international expansion. And so this kind of new role opened up where I could then kind of just take on basically international tax for the Wendy's system as a whole outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing where I had never, even my public accounting days and all that, I had never touched really international tax and how that fits in to a U.S.-based company. And then obviously you have to deal then with, Wendy's is in 38 countries at this point, going on like 41, 42 by the end of the next couple of years.
It's a lot of countries.
So yeah, it was definitely something where I had already done 3 years in my current job, and I was like, I could have seen myself very easily just like keeping on that path, being a manager of those processes and stuff, and been comfortable in that. Or I could trust that this opportunity was good, and this is an opportunity to stretch my competencies across a whole new area. And really open myself up to new learning, where like I could see that I had pretty much gotten comfortable in the, how the things worked from a domestic standpoint.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely, I hesitated quite a bit, and it was honestly Kaylee too. It was her encouragement as well. That was like, you've done the stuff that you're doing now for, 3 years now. So why not go and try something new and see what.
Tip, listen to your wives.
Yeah. And she was just like, it's going to take, like, obviously now, like, the work demands have increased. Obviously, as I said, like, because we're working with all these different countries and stuff, like, my email's always blowing up on my phone, and, like, they're
I will not miss that.
all over the place. So, like, things have definitely ramped up on that end as I'm getting down through this legwork. But it's been all good stuff, and stuff that, like, I can see that definitely there was big rewards in the reinvigoration factor in work.
Yeah.
Where like I actually saw that I had a desire to learn more and press into it, and there was more challenge in that that I think God was rewarding me with more energy and stuff to seek it out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, but.
Yeah, and also you get the aspect of when you are in transition to finish what you're doing as best you can. Like putting in, like, for like a job, putting in your notice, finishing strong. That's what everyone found out today in my office that
you were moving on.
That I'm moving on. So a lot of people came up to me, which is all good. Like, everyone's very supportive, which was good. But it's going to be weird. Everyone's like, I don't know what we're going to do. And I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, you guys will be okay. Like, I'm not indispensable, even though I think we all think to some degree, and I think to some degree I think I'm indispensable in a lot of ways, but I'm like, well, in the end of the day, I know I'm not.
Yep.
I think I can fool myself to think that, and even on a daily basis, like we had talked last episode about doing too much at work or doing too much at home. Like, for most things, you don't have to do everything, even though you think you do.
Yeah.
So the next batter up mentality, and train and do your best while you're there. Because it also, like, a lot of people have said, which I was surprised and not surprised, that, like, even my boss had said, like, it was a work ethic thing. And even there are some moments where, not really got into question, but just throughout the process of things throughout the years, say your positive attitude made this place better when morale was low. And I was like, okay, that means a lot, because I didn't think you noticed these kind of things.
You're like, because I had a bad attitude.
I was like, I thought it was pretty bad, but
I was angry.
But to be fair, I know it's better than most of the people here. But I mean, and those kind of things. So I think also in the tradition of what you're doing right now, having a good attitude and trusting that God has you where He wants you. Because like, we had waited for years, kind of thing, for this kind of, like, Faith and I prayed about it, talked about it. This kind of came up and then went away, and then came up and went away. And, but it just kind of came up all of a sudden and said, here you go. And so we step and move. But in the meantime, trying to do best where you are, too.
To be grateful for where you are so that you can work hard where you are. And I think one thing that I think all of our stories we all mentioned it, is like the power of like being united with your wife and being on the same page and needing. I know I needed the encouragement from Rachel, like, hey, things are going to be okay. We're going to figure it out. You can go for it. Like, we can make the change. We can do it. We'll figure it out.
And that was huge for me too.
Which you don't get if you're not praying together and sacrificing together and seeking the Lord together, then that unity, you won't have it.
Or even communicating on like where you're at today. Like if Faith had no idea as far as Jeremy's current situation and like how he wasn't happy and how the work stream was actually going.
She'd be like, what do you mean you want to change?
then that would be a surprise to him, and then maybe more hesitancy would come from her for her actually like being like, okay, it's time for us to look for something new for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely key, those two aspects of be praying together and be praying for the same things.
Yeah.
Together, and that so that you're on the same page and actively communicating for how you're feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the other thing that I learned is you have to be more content in transition periods in life, because in some ways your whole life is just one different transition after another. Like you never
really arrive 100%.
You think that whenever you're younger, you think you arrive at stations, and then when you get a little older, you realize as soon as you arrive somewhere, you are like, oh, here's the next. Like the trains depart as quickly as they come into the station.
I mean, doesn't the Bible kind of describe it as a race? So
and it is a little bit like a race.
Yeah.
It is a little bit like there's a time for everything, right? There's and those times often overlap, or they start right after one another.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, this too shall pass is a principle that the Bible, that we have to understand if we know Christ. Like, we can look at it and say, okay, no matter where I'm at, even if it's not everywhere I want to be, or even if it's not everything that I wish, or even if I just wish life would calm down for a few minutes and give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just not life. Like, your life is always a bit of a change. It's always a bit of a transition. You're always, there's always things moving and adjusting, because God is using you and he's growing you and he's moving you to be closer to him. And you are never more, you will never be more prepared for ministry than you are right now, or you are today, I should say. And every single day that goes by, God is preparing you for that next day of ministry, and the next day of ministry, the next day of life. But we have to be open to that, and we have to look at life that way. Like, it's not, there are no days that are wasted. There's no time that's wasted.
Yeah.
And at every moment, it's a good moment, because God is working in it.
That's really tough to not, like what you're saying there about not considering the moments wasted when you're wanting the next thing, or you're waiting for that next door to open, especially from a job standpoint.
That's the number one temptation for both Rachel and I right now.
Yeah.
Like, looking ahead to wanting to start really talking about planting churches or something like that. It's like, man, I got to make sure I'm not looking at my everyday, quote unquote, everyday life right now, and just being like a waste of time.
Twiddling my thumbs.
Waiting, like I'm on the bench and God is going to put me in the game at some point. It's like, no, I'm in the game now. It's just, it's different right now. My position is different.
Yeah.
But I'm playing the game. God's got me in there, and it matters.
Well, also learning how to serve in that capacity now, so you can serve more later.
Yep. Because wherever you are right now, God's will for you is that you serve, that you're active, that you give yourself for others and for Him. And we often want to make life, we want to make God's will, we want to make life about the things that we do. And God's will for us is so much more about who we are and who we are supposed to be, our character and our spirituality, and like it's so much more about that than it is about getting that perfect job or the perfect station in life, whatever that station of life is.
Yeah, when you think you actually finally arrive.
Yeah, you never will.
No, you never really arrive.
You arrive on the day that you reach heaven. That's when you arrive and you stop growing.
The final transition.
Yeah, but you don't. Before then, there's always going to be changes, and you have to just. And I'm preaching to myself here, because it's just, you have to understand, if I have Christ, I have everything I need for this moment, and I have to be content with that. Like, I have enough. I'm fine.
And also you are enough. I think that's something that we forget too. We are enough in Christ. We are whole in Christ. We don't have to keep pushing for the next thing.
Yep.
Well, and that's the difference between, I guess, I was trying to like think this through. But that's really the difference there of when you can take both a transition that you're planning for in stride and the transitions that come that you are not prepared for.
Most of them you're not prepared
because
for.
both of those things can happen where like you're wanting a job or some significant life move and you see that coming in stride, and then there's also transitions that can hit you upside the head that come out of nowhere, you know?
Yes.
So that's really the only way to navigate both of those situations in stride,
is to be able to trust that God is sovereign. And he's not just sovereign over the whole world, but he's also sovereign over you and your life and your family. And he's going to use you. And it might not look like all the ways that you want him to use you in the moment. You might have a different mental picture when you forecast your life. But we got to let go of some of that stuff and trust.
Yeah.
Jeremy and I talked about this a few episodes ago, when Andrew had to leave an episode to go tend Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
When I think it was the episode about stewarding your time. And just one of the things that we said was like being content with saying, okay, this season of life is not a season where I will grow intellectually. Like we talked about wanting to read more or study more.
Yeah. But
then like you've got kids and you've got a wife and you've got life and maybe you can't. And then being able to say, okay, I don't need to study more right now.
Right.
Maybe this is a season of life where God wants to grow me relationally.
Yeah.
You got to just be content. Whatever station of life you're at, use the tools and the good things that God has given you. Leverage that time. Leverage everything. Leverage your gifts to serve and to grow closer to Him. And that's a good season of life then. If you're doing that, it's a good season of life.
And make sure both, as you're looking through transitions for both you and a spouse, potentially like in work relationships or whatever like that, make sure you guys are aligned daily in that you guys can both be praying for the same things, because things can definitely hit roadblocks if your wife and you are not on the same page and you're not actually looking for that next transition in the same avenue that that you might want.
Pray together. Make sure you're praying for the same things. Make sure that you're praying, even if your prayer at first is just to pray to be on the same page eventually, pray for that together.
Because even that would have you'd have to flesh out ideas of like, well, maybe your season of contentment, like as far as you taking another job or something like that, maybe your wife has something that she truly is working through as well that's very different or looks very differently, and maybe you guys need to navigate that together as far as the timing of like right now I need to stay content.
I gotta lay myself down so that she can be absolutely huge. I think one of the things about being a husband is that you're called to suffer first for your family and for the good of the family, not just to suffer pointlessly, but to suffer when it serves others. I think we did a good job.
I think it was pretty good.
I think we did a good job.
We did an excellent job.
I think we transitioned through that well.
We did. We flew right through that conversation. Anybody got any recommendations? I've got one. Nobody else has got one.
Well, go for it. I might spur mine.
Well, the band is called Half Alive. Half Alive.
Which half?
The good half. They have an album out called Now Not Yet, I think. But anyway, Half Alive is the name of the band. Pretty young band, pretty new band, but really good. They kind of have a electronic rock sort of ish vibe. It's tough to describe, but I would blend them. I would say they've got a little bit of 21 Pilots going on. They've got a little bit of pop going on, but I think they're an interesting band, and I think that Josh, their writer, is a good writer. So recommend them. Half Alive.
Go ahead.
I don't have
one. You said you were gonna have one.
No. I was trying to think.
For me, let's just say, I don't know. I don't have one, but I want to read a biography. So go read a biography. I don't know. It's on my list to do for the year.
I'll find you a good one.
Like I don't know. I thought it'd be fun because I had some sports ones. I wanted to read Pistol, but it just didn't work out. By Pistol Pete Maravich and a few others.
There's a good one about Ulysses S. Grant. But
that's my record, which I haven't followed yet. But it's something that I want to do, and I've heard it's really it sounds interesting. I like history, so documentaries are good too. I could recommend those. They had one Luther, my Legionnaire.
You can't just throw out every recommendation.
The one reco I will give is that the one we talked about Christmas decorations.
Yes.
The one thing that is allowed prior to Thanksgiving is a Christmas ale, which are out in stores now.
That's true.
Great Lakes is out.
There's some good Christmas ales out there.
One. Great Lakes is fantastic.
Feel free. This is like the perfect time of year where you can still get Oktoberfest beer and Christmas ale. And you can
if you send
it, both worlds.
If you send it to us, we appreciate it.
And you can dabble in both avenues. So.
That's right.
But yeah, they're good stuff.
As long as the weather is going in both directions, you can use both.
You can teeter that line.
I still can't believe how much it snowed this week. I was surprised.
Snowed a lot. But
it took me 2 hours to get to work next day.
Don't like that.
It took me 11 hours to get home from St. Louis.
Oh, well, yeah.
So
you were coming
I was like going to.
Yeah.
I was
only driving like 20 miles, so.
Yeah.
I was like feeling.
Not a great drive.
Getting our yard all put together and like getting our patio furniture all put away and everything on that Sunday. And then I happened to, we were out and then I was tired and I was like, oh, I'll just do that next, like tomorrow or the next day. And then the snow came and it's covered in like not only snow, but like there's a little bit of ice and like snow covered on it. And I'm like, all right, not touching that for a little bit.
We were driving back and we stopped about halfway through this trip because we were like, are our headlights on? And we got out. We had to get out every hour to get out and get ice off our windshield wipers. But driving back from St. Louis, we got out and our headlights were completely covered with ice and snow. To where I got out like my pocket knife and I was like jamming to get ice off of the
car did you take?
We had to drive my boss's car. Yeah. But anyway, driving in the ice is not fun. Especially when you do it for 11 hours.
We recommend being safe.
Yeah, we recommend safety.
But having fun.
Drive, man.
It was a bad drive. But that's episode 22 of Three Brothers Talking. And we will see you guys next time.
Next time.